Well, it's been a very interesting week. Um, I am very glad I was able to finally put up the video. We can't go back because, like I said, the biggest problem for me with a lot of videos isn't even the editing. Usually because there's not that much involved. You get a couple of pictures, whatever. But it's writing the script and feeling as if I'm entirely satisfied with the things that are stated or otherwise indicated. And usually I'll have some part I'm like, oh, I really enjoy this, but then I'll get to another part and it'll give me some trouble for a while. So it was nice to prevail and finally release that thing because I think I said before I've always believed writing is harder than people give it credit for, especially when you're talking about trying to get your views across. Um, I know when I was trying to write a pilot for different shows, I would go through sometimes five, six, seven different revisions. Um, it's not easy creating something, and especially if you're trying to make like an ongoing narrative where you have to build the whole world, etc. uh, but yeah, one of my favorite parts of videos when I mentioned that a lot of people online feel like if they watch somebody's videos they know them and they're um, well acquainted with who they are. And truthfully, there's a lot of validity to that claim. There was a person who, for example, he was some kind of like YouTube commentator, right? And he had some woman who came over his house, and I guess left her children. And he kind of like said, "Okay, why would you leave your kids with someone you've never met before?" And her response was, "Oh, you're a big YouTuber, and I can trust you." Like she basically felt that since he was someone who was I guess somewhat of a public figure, there was no way that he would do something that could jeopardize his image or I guess public career. But then at the same time, it's like this is still a stranger. So it's really telling about just like how people think they know someone from watching some videos. Um, there's a bit of irony to it because I remember seeing some comments where people are like, "You think that relationships are supposed to be this way because you watched the movie?" It's like, well, you guys think you know who someone is because you watched the video of them talking. But yeah, I don't mention a lot of the relative stuff here because I know that the internet in general is not sympathetic toward men. Um, this is why oftentimes you'll have some woman who will talk about a thing that depresses her, and people say, "I hope you feel better," or they'll show some attempt at empathizing to varying degrees. But when you're a guy and there's something that affects you, you're told often to get over it and too bad and man up and all the rest of this toxic trash. So I generally prefer to just not mention it all, and that's why when it was happening, because all of it has occurred since I started on here, just like posting stuff regularly. I just don't say anything about it. Like I'll make maybe some references, hints here or there, but like an actual full out, oh, this person just, I'm not doing that because I know how the internet is. I know how in the back of some of these people's minds, they really believe that if you're male, your feelings and point of view and perspective do not matter. So I don't even bother attempting to convince myself that any good can come out of me being that vulnerable. Like I said before, a lot of the woman stuff, I am more annoyed by people trying to like argue with me over it, and in worst cases trying to like make me feel bad over it, just because I know how stupid it even is at this point to still act like it's just me, this one guy having trouble with them or who has had trouble with them. Um, but I accepted a long time ago that, like, this is just what they are. And it really is kind of a surface level thing. Like, okay, guy went out, asked women, and they said no. But when you're talking about, people that you think about every day, that you miss, and you've got some like computer person who just can't express any empathy toward you to be able to say, you know what? Um, I'm sorry that happened. I just don't have time to have those types of people around me. 'Cause I don't see anywhere where anything good comes out of, speaking to someone like that. It's just not a thing I really wanna be caught up in. I had a pretty crazy week at that place. I know that on Tuesday they had me stay there from 2:30 to 11. I must have taken the trash out about maybe yeah, 5 times. And when you take it out, you have to like go on the elevator for about a minute because you're going from one of the top floors to the bottom ones. And they don't let so if you have their uniform is all black. And if you have anything that's not black that you want to wear, they don't let you wear it. So I didn't have like a jacket or anything, which I hate because like my thing is I don't want to go and buy another coat that is black if they're just going to get rid of you after a couple of weeks or a month because then it's just like you wasted your money. But I um I was lifting up this bag because it's a bunch of trash in it and it ripped around the side or around, I think you know what I'm talking about, where, like, you lift something over you because I have usually use both hands, and something that was, I guess, sharp cut out of it, and it cut me right on my shoulder. And I've been wearing a Band-Aid ever since. And it wasn't some kind of deep wound or anything, but it did sting. That was actually the second time in I think 2 weeks where I had some kind of blood showing injury because I remember I was using a box cutter and I cut my hand with that too. To where I didn't even wanna use it anymore after that. I was like, "Okay, this is too dangerous." That's why I say a lot of people who, like, talk about how someone, is like I think I said this before on my most blamed man of all time 3 stream that you have some people who will say, "Oh, I work as well. What's the," like, basically trying to, like, say that they do what you do just because they're employed somewhere, but a lot of the people who, I'm unfortunately forced to be surrounded by, they don't have demanding or labor inducing jobs where they have to like cut stuff up and move this here and lift this over there. Like a lot of their stuff is just them sitting at the computer typing away or talking on the phone. So it really is not the same thing. That's why they're not as susceptible to injury because they're not doing anything that would ever actually, get them injured in that type of way. So it's really annoying when they try to pretend like they're doing the same thing as you, like, "Oh, yes, I work as well." It's like, "Yeah, you have a much more comfier position where in some cases you don't even have to leave your house, so you don't have to worry about a uniform or, oh, you didn't go and scrub this floor." It's not the same, but they try to pretend it is so they can, I guess, feel some kind of I don't know what their goal is. Sometimes it seems like they wanna have kinship with you, right? "Oh, we're doing the same thing, we're both working." Other times it's more of a thing of like, trying to minimize your because I said before, people can never empathize with men. So they try to go, well, I work as well. It's like, yeah, but it's not the same. It's kind of like how you have some chicks when you talk to them and you have like a conversation with them and you'll talk about like getting turned down over and over. And they're like, I've had relationship troubles as well. It's like, it's not the same. We're talking about some guy that gets his time wasted and like never gets any progression versus some woman who dates multiple men and then for whatever reason decides to cut it off and then it's like, well, I guess I'm single again for the 900th time. It's like, but it really is not the same. It's you to an extent get the same result of like a person that's by themselves, but they're for very different reasons. One is choosing to be by herself, and the other one did everything he could to not end up that way, and then got crucified on the internet by people who never even met him because they always can blame the man. That's their favorite hobby. Kotsky Merchant finally showed up to a stream of mine again. I've been missing him for so long. I know he's been very enamored with Xenoverse too. That's why he hasn't made an appearance. You've been playing that game until your hands fell off. I heard the DLC for it's supposed to be coming out. So I know the superhero one came out this month, and there's supposed to be a second one for that movie that's coming out either next month or February. Because like I said, I haven't been playing any games for about like a month now. When I get back, I'm so tired and I don't even feel like doing anything. Actually, I haven't been playing the game in a couple of days. I am so sick of the AI. I've been hearing, so originally I wasn't gonna get Sonic Frontiers because I wrote it off as like, "Oh, great, another Sonic game where you can only play as Sonic. Never seen that before." But now I'm hearing that for the DLC, and I said before I'm sick of DLC, but I'm hearing that supposedly they're going to update it next year to where you can play as Tails, Knuckles, and Amy, which instantly makes the game more appealing to me. So maybe I might get it. I'm not sure, but that knowing that they intend on doing that makes me now want to get it. Whereas before I was just like whatever, because it wasn't even getting rave reviews. I heard some good things, some bad things. This person was like, "Why would you go and buy Sonic Adventure 2 on Steam instead of Sonic?" It's like, yeah, I'd rather buy the game I know I like than the game I don't know I like. Just like when I rewatch movies, like I'd rather watch something I know I like than watch something I might not like. Yesterday I saw Bullet Train. It was about these assassins that are on this train, and it's got who all were the actors? I know you have Michael Shannon in there for like basically a glorified cameo. Um, but I heard good things about it. Oh, what's the guy that plays Quicksilver? Aaron Taylor Johnson, I think. Yeah, like I heard good things about it. I heard good things about Aaron's performance, and I said, hey, you know what? Why not? So I went and watched it. I would say I mostly enjoyed it. It's definitely something I could see myself watching again because it had a couple of twists I didn't expect in it. But that was just something I watched on the recommendation of another person, and it turned out to be decent. At least to me, anyway. It had mixed reviews, but you get the idea. That's one of the few things I like about my days off. I can just sit back and watch a movie because every time I would get back, it's like you have maybe 3 hours before you have to go to bed. So you better start that thing when you first return. I don't know. I just think it's so interesting how there's a lot of different films that I've never even seen, and I'm just like, oh, I would like to see that. I like sometimes I make whole list of movies I want to just see at some point. Um, I don't know. I guess maybe because I like to say that I've stayed the same, or I'm like consistent with myself, but there is a certain curiosity I feel like I have that I just don't see with a lot of other people. Um, like oftentimes when I see a film and I'm like, oh, I really like this actor, and I'll go and look up, other stuff that they've been in before or been in as well. Um, and I guess you could call it an intellectual curiosity. But I really don't feel like a lot of people have that, and I'm not trying to make myself sound special or unique or anything, but it just seems like so many people have these extremely mundane existences where there's no attempt to have like a goal or some hobby that they're passionate about or anything. They just go about, they do some work, go back to their place, maybe they'll watch something, and that's it. So I don't know. I just think that there should be more to stuff than the same old, crap. I don't see the point in playing against an AI who can basically read all of my moves. Like no matter what I do, the AI always has an answer for it. I still can't believe that game doesn't have a easy, normal, or hard mode. Because out of those three major Dragon Ball games from the last like 5 years or 6 years, that's really the only one where it's like that. I know Kakarot had an easy, medium, or hard mode, and then it was the same thing with fighters. Where you can adjust the level of difficulty for your opponent. I remember when I used to play Budokai Tenkaichi 3, I would put the computer on hard mode and have like 5 characters versus the computer's one character, and you still end up losing. So yeah, it's been really interesting. No, the computers are always so sophisticated. They know where you're going to be and what moves you're going to use. And some of those parallel quests, the DLC ones are so damn hard. Like what I used to love about that game was just being able to play as whoever you want, and then you get to go over and do a mission. But I'm not joking. With some of those DLC parallel quests, the only way I could win them was by using Super Saiyan God Goku, and then using the Spirit Bomb and just throwing that at whatever opponent has like 3 or 4 bars of health. I mean, it's really insane to me. And I'm not joking when I say that some of the computers, like you're the, I think the AIs for the enemies are too strong, and I think the AIs that are on your team are too weak. Because a lot of times they'll be fighting someone that's like 20 levels lower than them, and they'll still be, struggling. And I've said before that one of the reasons I like that game when you play it with other people is you get like these combo attacks. Like I hit this person over and over, and then while I have them in this lock, somebody else is charging up their beam and shoots them with it. A lot of the computers will just like sit there and just watch you hit like. Why don't you strike? Or they'll mess up your combo. And the AI prioritize overruling you with the flurry of attacks other than adapting to the playstyle of the player. I'll tell you my least favorite character to go up against in that game, probably at least maybe not for the second one, but for the first one was 17. Because he is the move where he's like, I'm gonna beat you like a rock. And then it's that big green energy wave that just travels all across the screen. I hated that thing so much. I'm gonna beat you like a rock. And then he uses his spam move. Thing was awful. Now after I finish, I'll probably I don't know, maybe I don't want to go to the market right now. Somebody called me. I think it was a spam call because I get a lot. Yeah, it was. I always get spam. I'm not talking about the fish. No, I think those parallel quests get really difficult when you get into the DLC ones. Like some of the crazy stuff I've had to do to win those, I don't feel proud of. My least favorite ones usually are the ones where it's like if you'll lose if this other computer character dies, and then the computer is the first one attacking enemies, like they're basically tempting fate on your behalf. It creates a situation where the AI gets preferential treatment of players forced to use key blast builds because the game punished you for trying to outsmart it. Yep. No, it was a really crazy week. So like I said, on Tuesday I got cut. They were having some big party, and that took everyone and basically put them on this other floor. And they had, and I went to the lowest floor. And I looked in the refrigerator, or not the refrigerator. It was on the those tables that are like in a kitchen, whatever. People put stuff on there when they're like, oh, you help yourself, that type of thing. And I saw two cakes. One was chocolate, and the other one was blue, and it had some sprinkles, or some kind of. It was a white cake in the sense that like that was the what was inside, but it was blue on the outside. Um, and I'm telling you, when I saw that cake, I just knew I had to have a slice. And I went and grabbed a plate and, and ate a piece of it. I don't know where I've had that cake before, but man, when the second I saw, I was like, oh, I would really like a piece of that. And sure enough, all the people were for the most part on that other floor, so I got to just eat that uninterrupted during my lunch break, which took place at like 6 at night. No, that cake looked delicious. I mean, I've seen that same design from somewhere before, where it's blue and it has the little like um, pieces inside of it that are like different colored of like various. I'm trying to think of a way to describe it, but I when I saw that, I just I made it my mission to get a piece. That thing looks so good. No, it's been a really interesting week. I can say that because Tuesday was probably the craziest because I've never stayed out with the job that late ever. I think I had one position from last year, yeah, that where I was at that stupid place back in May, where they wanted me to stay till 11, and I left at 9 because the manager was like, "He can go if he wants." I don't know. I'm just not used to staying out that late with these jobs. They usually have me get off at like maybe 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. When you start going into like 10, 11, 12, and the worst part was that they wanted me to get off at 11 and then come back up there at 11, the 11 a.m. So that means you get home and you've got maybe like 2 or 3 hours to do whatever you want, and then you have to go right back to sleep, or you have to go to sleep to get up there. I don't know. I just think it's stupid. Like I prefer. Um, God, it's so funny how I had this person who said something to the effect of, "Oh, you go in at 2:30, so you get to stay up late and wake up." I was like, "You don't know my living condition because when you have someone that's doing this all day long with their never-ending stay-at-home order position, uh, you don't exactly get to be asleep that for that long in the morning, if you catch my drift." So I didn't get to fulfill that prophecy that they were thinking I was going to have. That's why usually I set an alarm because it's hard to trying to go like sleep during the morning where I live is borderline impossible. And it's all because of the same dumb person. And that's why I said that I prefer positions where they have you come in the afternoon or something because it's just too difficult to like actually get a full 8 hours with that person. I applied to them a long time ago and I heard nothing back. That's my policy. Usually if I work somewhere, it's first come, first serve. So if you don't, if I apply to you multiple times and I hear nothing back, I'm done. Not gonna sit here and keep filling out the same application over and over to no avail. No, I'm done with that. Especially when we know that they'll just get rid of you in like 5 seconds anyway. You know, you can ask a Kotsky merchant. He knows all about hire to fire. Where they go and they pick people up and then they like right after they get them, they're actively plotting their demise. Amazon accepts like anyone. Well, I don't know what their problem is. So I'm not even gonna bother debating this with you. If you don't believe me, I'll be happy to show you my emails of all the times I heard nothing back from them. They accept like anyone. It's like, well, I mean, I don't know what the conditions were. I mentioned before, I went to a bakery interview 2 years ago, and the guy was talking about they had four available positions. And I said, yes, I'm going to get a job. And then right after he says that, he mentions they have 40 people applying. So, of course, I heard nothing back from him. So, for all I know, Amazon could have 50, 60, 70 people applying and go pick one of those people every time. So I said those external factors never get mentioned by people when they're trying to say you did something wrong. Those are things that never get acknowledged in any slight capacity. Yeah, I'm done with even attempting to bother with this stuff anymore. Now I had some weird person come on my stream and they were talking about not my stream. On one of they wrote something in one of the comment sections where there was they because I did a video on like the it was 63% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and then I was mentioning how a lot of apartments out here, I mean, from what I remember, the average apartment cost is 1,800. So if you are working a position like just out here, for example, you'll get maybe 600 or 500 a week. And times four, that's like a little bit over 2,000. So pretty much every month you have to spend three-fourths of what you make just to pay the rent. And this guy comes in the comment, he's like, how are you only making 500 a week in California? That doesn't make any sense. Like, do you not know what taxes are? Do you not know that they take some out of what you get from whatever? I'm not about to sit here and try to explain economics to some just troll, whatever. But it was funny because I remember when we had that saga with the Dear John letter writer. Um, I'm not gonna say what state she was from, but I remember she told me her rent was 700 a month, and I was like, "That's crazy as hell." I mean, so you mean to tell me that this person who lives in this other state pays what? Not even half of what it costs to live out here? And they're talking about they can't save up? Are you serious? 700 a month to sit up in that shack that she had. So I said that's one of the reasons I really don't like chicks because if they just allowed certain things to play out, it would be better for everyone involved. Like you have a guy who you say you find attractive, um, and he is open to assisting you with paying for your your place to live. And like I don't know why any person with any semblance of sense would turn that down. Because like I said, we've discussed this before, but you will never see any of these chicks pay a single cent to do anything for you. You can't even get them to do stuff for you for free, like speak on the phone once a week. So it just seems so bizarre that you would get someone who you claim to like, who is willing to assist you in some actual, tangible, essential service, and you rebuff their advances. Like that's why I said, like people pretend chicks are smart, but they like one by one, year by year, you see them do dumber and dumber stuff. That's why I said they do stuff I just don't understand. No, the point of me mentioning that story was simply to say that the cost of living in her state was very very smaller than the one in mine, and that if she had allowed for me to be that supportive of her in that manner, then she would have been better off than she currently was because she was the one saying that she couldn't have save up due to paying her rent every month, which really compared to what's out here is not that damn high. So my sympathy for her went out the window. Dude, imagine what I would look like if there was some woman who I thought was attractive and she's like, "Oh, I'll help you pay for your rent and you can save up." And I'm just like, "Well, I don't want you to do that because I don't really want to be in a relationship with you." How people would call me an idiot so fast. They're like, "What is wrong with you?" And remember, I'm referencing what came out of her mouth. You gonna call somebody attractive, and then when they offer to assist you, you're like, "Oh, thanks, but no thanks." You crazy? Oh, what happened to Akatsuki Merchant? Did he go back to playing Xuniverse too? I was so excited to speak to him. It's been so long, and he just went away, and it's so wrong. Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff that happens on here. I don't know. In general, it just seems like it's becoming more and more evident that when you speak to them, they're not actually trying to do anything substantial. Like I was discussing this with this guy a couple of days ago, just how there are a lot of things that people can do for each other. Um, and it feels like even when something is basic, the other side just doesn't want to meet the other one halfway. So you get these like extremely uneven dynamics where one person is trying as hard as they can to keep something going, and the other one is just kind of this extremely passive figure, like, yeah, yeah, I guess, yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, look what he wrote. I know you hate discussing it, but I still believe you can get a girlfriend. I mean, I don't know. I'm personally I'm tired of riding the thought train. All aboard. Choo choo. Every scenario that gets played out by these people sounds unappealing. Like, oh, if you want to get with a woman, get your money up. So, then you can date some woman who is totally not a gold digger, even though she only came around after you started owning something that she wanted. But yeah, she totally will care about you and be interested in who you are. That's why you have to do this thing. It has nothing to do with I'm good. Like I said, I'm not falling for it. Dude, this why I'm just gonna stay single. It's cheaper and it's less people, means less problems. Pretty much. I told you there's a whole bunch of ways that a woman can benefit from being with a guy, but the ways in which a guy benefits from being with a woman are getting lower and lower seemingly every year, man. I already said before, there's really no point in even like bothering with them because they already have denied me what I want. Um, and I just don't see what then is the reason for it, especially if you know that if it goes left or south or whichever term you want to use, they're just going to blame the guy for why it didn't work out anyway. So it's it's just not something that really has any benefits. Like, what is the point of being with someone who actively is against what you want to do? I certainly would love to know. I tell you, when I was still going out and talking to those bastards, I remember you would sit them down and you would ask them, uh, "Do you want to have kids?" And they would always say no, right, like over and over. And I was like, "This doesn't make any sense to me. You have all these chicks that have children, usually by accident, but then when you go up and directly say, 'Hey, would you like to do this at some point?' They're against it." I'm like, "Well, hell, if this is really how they truly feel, then there essentially is no point in being with any of them because they're denying you what you want." But yeah, let's keep asking out the group that denies us what we want. Let's reward them with our continued effort and patience. Forget that. And I've said this before, nothing good can come from me speaking to them. You're going to get your time wasted and you're going to get harassed by these people. Megumi has finally appeared. I was actually waiting for you to show up because I wanted to mention something to you that I thought was funny. So, I think you might know what I'm talking about when I say this. You ever had a position where you met somebody else that was also working and you would speak to them and like you couldn't really talk to them because you have your break period, they have their break period, and basically every time you communicate with this person, on a time limit, right? Because you don't know when they're working, they don't know when you're working. Um, so every interaction, it has like this little clock, this little tiny clock that's just ticking and ticking because you can't speak to them for that long. Um, about a week ago, I was cleaning some dishes, or excuse me, I was putting away some clean dishes, which is one of my least favorite parts of my position because when you clean dishes, like you just clean them off, right? It takes maybe like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, depending on how much stuff is on there. When you have to dry them after they've been washed by the dishwasher, you have to take every single damn dish and clean it to the point of it being completely dry before you stick it back inside of the cabinet. And this could take, again, usually it's filled with stuff, so sometimes 20 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes. It's just a really dragged out process, and I wouldn't mind doing it if it weren't for the speed obsession. Um, but anyways, what I thought was crazy was that while I was having this conversation with this, so this person comes in here, right? This lady, and we start speaking, just kind of talking to each other. Um, and it's a decent dialogue. It's just like casual discussion, and we spoke again. I think a day or two later, and I because I mentioned before, there's like this curse, right, of the jobs that you'll have for like maybe a month and they'll get rid of you. So I said I really want to make sure with this person that I basically ask them for a way to contact them so that in case something happens, I can like get a way of still speaking to them even if I don't work there anymore. So over the weekend, I rehearsed to myself what I'm going to say because you have to make it very clear to these people. This is a professional thing of like, hey, I just like to keep our conversation going. And the words I choose to use are, I really enjoy our dialogues, but so often we barely get to speak for that long. And I was wondering if there was some other way I can contact you. Now, I use those exact words, contact you. I don't say give me your number. I don't say any type of thing that has to do with actually, you get the idea. It's done in this extremely um careful, and if you want to call it formal way, you can call it that. Now, she gives me her email and I'm going to read to you what I sent to her, and then I'm going to read what she wrote back, and I'm going to tell you why what she wrote back made me never want to speak to her again. I said, "Hi, this is Justin. You might remember me from such memorable acts like taking out the trash and doing dishes. I asked for a way to contact you earlier today as I very much enjoyed our exchanges and wanted to speak to you without pesky time restraints. Far too often are good dialogues cut short by outside forces. I guess I can start by asking you what your hobbies are, and then I'll tell you mine if you're interested. She responds by saying, "Hi, thanks for the nice note. I won't be in the office for the next couple of weeks. I'll be traveling with my boyfriend and his family, but wishing you a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and we'll see you around the office in 2023." So the reason what she wrote pissed me off um, is because I asked a very basic question. I asked, "What are your hobbies?" Things that you like to do, right? And you would think any normal person would respond to the question that was asked of them. So if somebody asked me what my hobbies are, I'll say like draw, write, etc. Whatever. Point is, a normal person would respond to the question that was asked of them. Not only does she not respond to the question that's asked of her, but she randomly brings up this how she's going to be traveling with her boyfriend and his family. And I was thinking to myself, man, like I swear, whether a woman is a teenager, an adult, in her 30s, they always think if you go up to one of them and you say, "Hey, I'd like to speak to you uh in some other type of way besides for like 5 seconds, glorified cameos," they think every guy just has this ambition to date them. Like we all are just sitting here conducting these master plans and plots on how to get her to attract us. And oh my God, yes, she will be my. It's so weird. Why the hell did she bring up the plan to go out with her boyfriend to you? Well, the theory I had is that, like a lot of other wonderful, also amazing modern women, this is another one that believes every single man that speaks to her and wants to, I guess, talk to her outside of a professional setting has this grand ambition to go on a date with her. Um, so I guess that was her way of deterring me or something. But you get the idea. It's all part of the same sickness that they have in general, and it's one of the reasons why I for the most part try to avoid speaking to them. But you know what is crazy? I'm again like I couldn't care less if she's dating someone else because like I said, I there was at no point in my mind it ever occurred to be like I think if I do this I can get her to go on a date because we know how this saga goes. But I'm offended by the fact that she completely ignored my question to bring up some guy that has nothing to do with what was asked of her. Like even if I was dating some woman and you ask what my hobbies are, the woman's probably not going to figure into it. It's kind of a, separate topic, if you will. Yeah, she didn't even answer your question. And that's why I don't have any desire to answer her email. My interest in her went like this. Just dropped all the way down. Dude, if my interest in her was like, when you go to the hospital and they have the little thing that shows if somebody's alive, and it just would completely flatline at that point when I read that email. I was like, oh my God. Like the way I thought this would go is you ask what her hobbies are, she tells you what her hobbies are, she asks what your hobbies are, you tell her what yours are, she'll probably like try to follow up by asking some questions, etc. Instead, you send me this weird email where like you say, well, that was a nice note. What was nice about my note? What did you like about it? And then you bring up this guy that you're with. So yeah, I probably won't be contacting her again. There were another two chicks that work in that same building that I thought about tracking. But the thing is, the difference between her and the other two is I only spoke to one of so I spoke to the other one multiple times, but it was always like for these really again brief intervals. And the other one strikes me more as being shy in the sense that um I think I probably could get that one to like try to give me like a way of contacting them, but I think what's a way of explaining it? You know how with some of them they do that like sort of thing where they're kind of like really wary or something, even if they're in some setting where they have to be kind of assertive to get what they want done. That's what that person's like, just like a mask of contradictions. The stupidity knows no bounds. Dude, you should have seen me this past week, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go up to her and I'm gonna ask her, I'm gonna say, hey, I really enjoy our conversations, but they're always so short. Is there some way I can contact you outside of being here? I looked for her on Monday, didn't see her. Tuesday, didn't see her. Apparently, she was up there, but I don't know. We just didn't cross paths. So Wednesday, I was like, all right, you know what? Let's do it. The worst that can be said is no, right? Instead, we get this weird message where it's kind of like written in such a way as to accuse me of being romantically, and it's like I want you to think about this. Like, how stupid would I have to be to show romantic interest in a person via something that not only is written, right? So they can like go back and have an archive, but it's their work email. Like how dumb would I have to be to do that? I would have to be as dumb as Steph Niels to go about trying to act in that way. Ask this woman for her email, and then when I write my email, I'm gonna say something romantic so that she can screenshot it and send it to everybody. Yeah, I swear that woman stuff is just lousy. Um, I guess the one saving grace of being off for this week is that at least I don't have to see that other one that acted like she owns the place. I think you know what I'm talking about. The one that was like, you should be done. That we made the meme out of. And I was really happy because let me see what she did this week. Um, there are these people that work in this conference room, where it's like a bunch of chairs and the table. And sometimes they put out drinks for the people that are there. So when they go into the room, they can just grab a drink and sit down or continue doing whatever they're doing. And she sees me and this guy, and I'm with the guy because I have to be since they run out of the keys for us to get around. So we have to like pair up. She goes up and asks, "Oh, can one of you guys?" Well, she calls us boys apparently, which has a certain racial context to it, but I'll leave that alone. She says, "Can one of you boys go and replace the warm drinks with cold drinks in the rooms?" Now, think how dumb this is. These people are upstairs and they're having some kind of party, and you can infer the party's going to be longer than maybe 20 minutes. So by the time they get back down from having this massive party, all of these cold drinks that we put in here to replace the warm ones are going to become warm themselves. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. So just a complete waste of everybody's time. But I think I said before, a lot of these jobs have these people that just want you to look like you're doing something, even if you're actually not. Because you could have left the drinks that were already there and gotten the same result. The other stupid thing she did was where me and this guy were lifting these chairs. And when I say lifting chairs, I'm talking about when you put like two or three of them on top of each other. And the guy comes in there and he's sweating. He's struggling to because it's like three or four chairs. It's really heavy. And she's gonna ask him, "Is it heavy?" It's like, dang bat, why don't you grab a few and see how it feels? Like that's what I said. I'm so glad I don't have to see her. I don't have to see her nose ring. I don't have to see her Edward Scissorhand white fingernails. I don't have to see her multicolored hair. I'm glad that that's out of my life for at least a week or two. Yep, this is why I keep my relations with women mostly platonic. It's not even but here's the thing, right? If you actually read like I and you can go back and play it. Because I read the message verbatim that I wrote her. The message was entirely platonic. Um, like I said, I have no desire or wish to try and make anything romantic because I already said I know how this goes. But what drives me crazy is that you have a person that I'll put it this way. I believe if I were female and I'd written that exact same message to her, she would have responded differently. Like you wouldn't have seen. She would have probably actually answered the question. I'll leave it at that. So this isn't about me trying to make anything romantic. It's them trying to spin everything as having this erotic subtext that is the problem. I get that feeling pretty often when working. I always found it weird and unnecessary. If you were a woman, you wouldn't have gotten that response. Damn, literally said what I wrote. Yeah. Because like I see the way they talk to each other. And ironically enough, chicks ask way more personal and romantic crap of other women than I have ever done in any of these professional settings. I've seen them sit there talking about the guys they were dating and what should you say back to your ex and all this other stuff. It's like, they're the ones who you should be responding to in that way. By the way, I just wanted to mention this because I thought it was funny. So there was a woman who works in that office, and I guess they were friends with the manager, assistant manager, whatever. And while I was with the assistant manager, uh, the latter asked the woman how did her date go, and she replied something to the effect that it was nice, but there's this other guy that she likes more. And then she points out that the other guy is rich, and then jokes that if you don't see her back in the office, it's because she married the other guy. And I was just thinking to myself, remember, women aren't gold diggers. Dude, I wish I could have recorded that. That really I swear I'm not making that up. When I heard that, I was just thinking to myself, this is the same type of woman that if you go on the internet, you'll have these weird guys like Steph not what was it? Steph Nils who'll say, you should be going out of your way to try and impress them, and they care about personality and your charisma. It's like, dude, all they care about are superficial crap that has nothing to do with who a person actually is. By the way, if I was rich, I wouldn't even spend 10 seconds talking to a regular chick. I would just go pay a surrogate. Yes, they literally expose themselves. Magumi, if I was wealthy or well off, I wouldn't even talk to chicks at all. They like you would see me pay a surrogate to like have a kid, and then that would be it. Like there would be nothing from any chicks at all. That would be the death of them. As far as me being interested, because like then there's literally no reason. They would be gone. I'm just imagining me having like 100,000 or a million, and just like, oh man, whatever shall I do? Uh, well, I can either try to impress some woman that's gonna, only be interested in me for what I have, or pay a surrogate and then get some nannies so they can take care of the kid while I do whatever I want. Which option sounds more befitting? I wonder. Oh yeah, if I were rich, I'd be a very secluded man. I'm just saying that the incentive to become wealthy literally has nothing to do with appealing to it, because that would make me dislike them even more if they start suddenly being interested in you. Like, because again, you know that they're a bunch of gold diggers. Where were they before you had this? And like I said, there are people who will speak to you who don't care how much you own or have. I mean, I don't know about your parents, but I didn't have to become rich for my mother to call me, or my grandmother. So, or even my best friend. Like, you don't. There are people that will interact with you that are not trying to, get something out of it other than just speaking to you. No, seriously, like if I ever actually became more well off, I would be even less interested in chicks. Yeah, too many have that same ulterior motive. They usually would want something from you. Right, and you're gonna know this because remember, you weren't born into being rich. So You're gonna notice the difference between how they acted before you had what you had and after. What's the word today, gentlemen? I don't know, maybe BS. Like every time somebody says, "Oh, you can meet a woman who's not interested in you for money," and then you hear one of them bragging about how she's gonna marry some guy that's rich. Like, yeah, it's BS. Told you, I'm not falling for it. You're not tricking me. And yes, that makes sense too. Why would you attempt to try appealing to random chicks? You have so much money, you wouldn't need to waste your time with them anymore. Yeah, because when you have money, you can literally do whatever you want. Like, think of how crazy this is. You'll have people that will get mad at the guy for paying a hooker to do things with him. When, for all you know, he could pay the hooker once a week, once a month, once once every couple of months, like have 3 or 4 different ones that he uses, and still end up spending less money overall than being with some materialistic gold digger who's begging him for coins every time he sees her. Dude, that came. I was talking about how you have these idiots online when they're trying to convince you to put up with random chicks and their stupid stuff. That if you just have enough money or you get rich or whatever, you'll suddenly be like swooned over by all these magnificent broads. I'm like, dude, anyone, even a blind man can see that if it takes you having to become rich or well off just to get a couple of chicks to want to go on a date with you, not only is it not worth it, but they have exposed themselves as gold diggers. And like I said, if I actually was well off, I would never speak to another woman again. Well, maybe outside the one that does my taxes, but like seriously, like what did I say before was my ambition to wanting to be with a woman? To get married and have a family. Well, I can just accept never getting married. And I can pay a surrogate to have a kid, and then like they will literally have no purpose whatsoever at that point. Like seriously, if you have enough money, you can pretty much get chicks to do whatever you want. You can have kids without having to ever have a date or whatever. You can have, like it's just so funny to me how people act like it's. I guess what I find really interesting is that people who are well off have a lot of opportunities. And then these idiots on the computer who are not themselves well off, but they try to act like they're all doing so great and amazing. They try to pretend that everything that you do in the hypothetical where you are well off are it's all closed up in this box surrounding attracting random chicks who usually don't have a pot to piss in. Whereas you actually have plenty more opportunities that they won't discuss because they know that the more and more you think about it, the less and less chicks actually matter. Like I said, I've known guys who have paid for women to live at the place that they're at, bought them computers, bought them um, cars, and you'll never see a woman do that for you unless it's one in your family, and even those are a rarity. But an actual like female partner that does things to support you that are essential, mark my words, you will never see it. Cam says exactly. Wealthy men also usually don't go around telling every woman they meet how much money they have. Yeah, because they have confidence. They know what they own. They don't have to. Just like if I had 200,000, I wouldn't go on here going, look at how much I made. Woman, look at. I would just go and whatever service I needed or wanted, pay for it, and that's it. We don't. You don't need to go around bragging to people about what you own to have it. Like it's why I say it's weird. But I told you a lot of the guys that go on the internet talking about get your money up and earn this and earn that, they don't actually have anything themselves. That's why they're on here. You think you're gonna tune into one of my streams to see Bill Gates talking about, well, I don't know about you, but I just bought this house. No, because actual rich people have too many things going on to be sitting here harassing like it's weird. Plus, if you have that mindset, you got to remember you're not the only rich sucker out there. The minute she gets bored, she's out of there. Yeah. Which is why I said in any hypothetical where I became well off, the people who have been there for me would actually be the ones who get rewarded, like my brother, like my best friend, and not a bunch of random chicks that are just suddenly coming out of the woodwork and pretending to be interested because, again, where were they before you had this? We're going to say exactly the irony is real. I'm just laughing at like how they kept saying you have no money, get money. It's like I wouldn't even care about chicks if I had that stuff. Like it wouldn't even they wouldn't even be a blip in my mind. They would be gone. No, thanks, I guess. The same applies to those who accuse you of being a loser, yet they are the ones on your stream investing their time into you. Well, I said before, it's like, how can you call somebody else like a loser when you're the one who knows who they are, but they don't know who you are? You're tuning in to see what they're saying, and they couldn't care less about what you're saying. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. But I told you there's a lot of projection in the types of stuff that these people say. But remember what I said in my video. Like a lot of those guys that come on here giving this advice, they don't actually want to see you succeed. That's why they want you to spend time with chicks that they know are just a bunch of pricks trying to take money from you. That's why they want you to invest all of this effort into bodybuilding or getting muscles just so some 300-pound broad might say yes to you. Like it's all based around you by virtue of your gender are not ever good enough for this female, and you should just be their slave and do whatever they and I don't have time for that. I wouldn't tell someone what to do with their money, but if you actually do get rich and the first thought in your mind is one to is to reel in gold diggers, you won't be rich very long. You know what's funny about you saying that? I've actually seen some couples, like actual rare healthy relationships where both partners pay for the house they live in. When they go and eat some, they have like some shared credit card, bank account where they both pay for the meals that they have, and they budget. They talk about, I'm making this much this week, you're making that much this week. All right, let's try to spend this. I've actually seen a few couples that do that. And you know why that is, right? Because that woman and that is not a gold digger. She's actually a valuable asset to that man, who is actually attempting to lift them up from their current economic situation by combining their resources and succeeding. With all these other chicks, though, they don't care if you live or die, man. You think if you spend the Megumi, think about this. You think if you go out and you buy some woman $1,000 ring or computer, and then after that you file for bankruptcy, she's gonna be like, "Oh, Megumi, you can come stay at my place after you bought me this thing. I really appreciate." No, they don't care about you. That's why I said, man, like I live in the real world. Like I don't. I have. I'm sorry. I have self preservation in mind, but like that's why I don't even get mad if people don't donate. I'm not going to tell you that you need to give me your hard earned money because I do a stream talking. We're not playing a con artist grifter game of like we will get this out of you, but trust me, if you do what I'm telling you, you'll have magic, happy, good results. To hell with that. Equality for those women is to accept the perks and reject the responsibilities. Well, like I said, actual equality would be something like the woman goes out and asks the man on the date. She has to own something to get men attracted to her. Because I swear to you, man, if women approached men as often as men approach women, this whole thing of like having 30 guys trying to talk to one woman would be over. Like you wouldn't even see it anymore. If men were able to hold out as much as chicks do, where they just like never show any interest and don't ask any of them out, if they did that, it would be a totally different ball game. And I've said this before: chicks are not special. They're not better than you or me just because they have a triangle between their legs. If you've seen one attractive chick, you've seen them all. Like, I'm sorry, having a triangle between your legs does not make you a superhero or uh better than somebody else or a god among men. It just doesn't. There's too damn many of them for them to have this extreme value for no reason. They really aren't seriously true, but sadly, if a dude will stay, will saw his arm off if he wants a certain chick bad enough. Hey, you won't see me claiming that he won't, but all I'm conveying to you is there is something wrong with having an entire gender of people get like. I'll give you an example. Let's say Megumi decided tomorrow that he wanted to make an account on YouTube where all he does is just praise let me think of the actress. Zoe Saldana, right? He's like, oh, I loved her in Avatar and I loved her in Guardians of the Galaxy. At least if he's gonna sit there, worshiping some woman, that's when it's actually done something. Like the way that these guys talk about regular chicks that nobody ever heard of, you would think they were all celebrities. And I mean, 30 guys asking out some woman that is not famous, has not been in any movies, she's not in any shows, she's not on TV. It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. Like that's why I said there's something wrong with the disparity. It's too ridiculous for me to even want to participate in it because I know that every time you talk to one of these broads, you're going to be sitting there wondering, is she talking to me or another 10 men, another 20 men, another 30 men? And those are all realistic concerns to have because you know that chicks that aren't even worth a damn are going to be treated like they're gods among men. Yes, that makes sense, but it doesn't make sense towards random chicks nobody has ever seen or heard about. Dude, I'm just imagining like because you have people that make fun of fanboys or people that worship celebrities. And I'm like, well, hell, at least they're worshiping someone that actually did something and is accomplished. That woman you over there is trying to talk to is only notable because she said hello to you out of the like 30 other guys she was also talking to. She didn't even have a pot to piss in, and you acting like she's the greatest thing ever because you think she's pretty. Dude really doesn't consider that girls David DMing got 30 other guys. Yes, and I know that they do because I think I did this video called Women's Many Many Options. It showed all these different examples of chicks having a bunch of men asking them out and like admitting this many men messaged me, this many men said this to me. Sometimes not even showing a picture of themselves. So yeah, this woman stuff is insane. And that's why I said it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you talk to them in real life, you have to be wary of how many men they're speaking to, and you get your time waste anyway. And if you talk to them online, you have to be worried about how many men they're speaking to. And it just seems like there's too much value placed on someone that really there's like no reason for this to even be happening with. Like I said before, I have 2,000 subs. I could have 200,000 subs, and you wouldn't see no damn 30 women trying to speak to me. You serious? And if they did, it would just be the gold diggers. So like actually interested in me because they think I'm attractive or they want to get to know me and they find me to be interested. No, they wouldn't be doing that. Because like I said, we know they wouldn't because where were they before I had the 200,000 subs, right? That's why I said people act like you're crazy if you recognize patterns and then they want you to just go along with it. Like, yeah, just keep asking out chicks forever and ever until you die. Look at the guy that was talking about becoming a passport bro. Oh, you can get a woman like it's nothing. It's like who are you trying to trick, fool? You know how many broads we've spoken to from foreign countries do the same stupid stuff as their American counterparts? And you gonna sit here trying to convince somebody because just because she doesn't live on US soil, she's different. Man, get out of here with that. What a joke. When that's normal for you, you'll naturally become more picky. That's the problem. Something the dudes who say you just need money or popularity don't consider is that there are women who will plot on you by spreading lies about you or using you to increase her stat. Yes, there are plenty of women that are only famous because of who they married or some other affiliation with a man. But I was just gonna go. I want to go back to what you wrote about. When that's normal for you, you'll naturally become more picky. That's the problem. Well, here's my thing, right? You have a bunch of guys on the internet, these gurus, computer people, whatever, and they tell you if you can get a woman to be interested in you, there must be something wrong with you. You must have failed to attract her. You must have done something to dissuade her. But a lot of these chicks, like I guess what I want you to consider is that these guys know chicks talk to a bunch of men, loads of men, basketball teams worth of men. But then they always want to sit here and indict you as an individual while completely ignoring the external factor of, hey, this guy might not be the best man ever, but then again, who is? But how the hell is he supposed to compete with another 15, 20, 30, 45 guys, all asking out the same woman? Megumi he remembers this. I had a joke where I said, I'm going to start asking out famous women because at least when they get 20, 30, 50 guys trying to ask them out, it makes sense. People know who they are, so more men are naturally interested in them than average. And it's also a commentary on the fact that like at this point, asking out a normal woman is like asking out a famous one, where they've got double digit numbers of guys interested in them and trying to message. It's ridiculous. Yeah, they really think you're stupid and incompetent that you won't be able to pick up their scam. Dude, I'm telling you, if I ever became rich, and I was just sitting there one day and I have some woman come up to me and she's like, "Oh, how are you? What's your name?" I would immediately remember, where was she in all those years of my time being wasted? And be like, "Nope, goodbye." I'm telling you, if I ever did achieve some kind of actual real financial success, that would be the death of chicks as far as like being a thing I would even care about at all. I might speak to maybe two of them a year when it's not work related. It can never be that the woman just doesn't want to date you. It has to be that she's so disinterested that there's something wrong with you. And I even gave the example in the CSM edition video. It's like there are chicks that I don't think are attractive and they're not overweight. They're not, I mean, I don't care about how much money a woman has, but like they're not, not working. Again, like, why can't you be allowed to say, okay, this person, I don't find them attractive personally, but hey, if somebody else does, whatever. Like if you're a guy, you're supposed to attract every single woman to you, and you must. It's like this is crazy as hell. And it's funny because they'll accuse me if I do like a video, I write a script, I think about it. You're overanalyzing. It's like you're the same person who will tell somebody they can't get a date because of their cross. like like oh yes, I find this woman attractive, but I don't like her necklace, so I won't go on a date with her. Like who are like they're the ones who get caught up on little stupid stuff like that, and they want you to think you're the one who's overthinking. That's why I said it's all projection. It's all they view something some way, and they try to act like it's you that's doing that. It actually ties to your point about dudes getting scammed by gurus giving whack tips on how to attract women. It's usually just boils down to get rich. I'm telling you, man, you'll never see me being like, hey, Megumi, you want to learn how to get a woman? Just click on this link over here to my website and make sure you donate $10. Like, if someone wants to give you some advice, why do they need to get why is it behind a paywall? You know what I mean? So I said romance isn't even about like actually liking someone and being attracted to them and wanting to build a future with them and add something to the life of the other person while they enrich yours as well. It's all this strategic simulation of how can we make men do every single ridiculous thing known to man to attract a woman, and then after it doesn't work out for him, how can we find ways to blame him for this stuff while also still trying to get him to believe that if he just does a, B, C, D, E, F, G, he's going to have a 1% higher chance of having some random woman be attracted to him. And then after, if even if he gets the woman to date him for a while, if she turns him down or it ends, we're gonna blame him anyway, while still pretending that we actually care to see him succeed. And Megumi brought up the guy from earlier, the one that said, "I'm invested in your growth." It's like, yes, person who hasn't come to a single stream or video of mine in 3 years, and then when they come back for the first time in years, is trying to like harass me about me not wanting to talk to. Yeah, you very much care about me. Mhm. Those are the acts of someone who cares. And I was letting him run his mouth on that stream up until he wrote that. I was like, "Hey, look, this is too fictitious for me. This like I can't believe this. I don't buy it. You're spreading like now you're just literally lying." Dude, that's why I said in my video, all women are too good for me. Like if you listen to these online bastards, man, they make having a triangle sound like you might as well be wearing a crown at that point. I mean, it's really crazy. Why did Kame's comment get no, let me hold it. Women are so oppressed that they can have a guy who will pay for their every need in life as long as they take care of their appearance. Well, that's why I gave the example of the one that was at my job that was bragging about the guy that was rich that she was dating, and how if she didn't come back to work, it's because she married him. So she knows that if she gets with this guy, as long as she satisfies him in whatever way you can imagine, she won't have to worry about working ever again. And it's like, that's the oppressed woman. That's the person I'm supposed to feel sorry for. The one who openly picks this man over another one simply because the other one isn't as well off as that one is. I swear to you, out of all the chicks I've ever spoken to, and I've had instances where I've spoken to like two or three of them at once, I have never sat back and gone, "Well, I like this woman, but this other one has money." It's never been a factor at any point. I sure as hell don't. Yeah, neither do I, Magumi. Um, Kame says rich dudes who do that are being used as tools, and you think that's a win. And oh, and they think that's a win. Yeah, because like I said, I watched a stream from somebody. This guy's in his 40s, and he was talking about how when you're a man, you have to like make your value, and women have value because of their gender. And the way he said it, it's like he just accepts this is how things should like are and should be. And it's like, dude, there's something wrong with the idea, and this is my belief, that you want to push a feminist society of men and women being equal to each other, right? Women being able to do everything that men do. But then you also want to have the same old traditional beliefs of the man should ask the woman out, the man should pay for the woman's meal, the man should like always make the first move or initiate things in some manner, right? You can't have both. You can't have this attempt at a feminist, modern, everybody is equal society that also spits in its own face because it has these women who are cowards and do not want to ask out men that they think are attractive, which causes a bunch of guys to have to swirl around one woman like a bunch of sharks circling around its prey. It doesn't work. You can't have both. The two don't correlate with each other. They're literally enemies, and you're trying to get them to work together, and it doesn't work. Ironically enough, that's such a vindictive way to go about being interested in someone. How is that genuine love slash romance? It's bull. It's built on a lie. I thought you said it's bull for a second. I read the rest of it quickly. It is built on a lie, but remember what we talked about. Romance at this point is no well, and you may have had your own stuff you wanted to see happen. And it may have aligned with mine, but for a lot of these people, romance is not about actually liking someone and wanting to spend time with them and create a future together and be there for that person, enjoying their company. It's all based around a strategic simulation of what can this person do for me? What can I extract from this person who thinks I'm attractive? What can you as the man do for some woman who's going to pretend she cares about you, and if she actually did, you wouldn't have to do all this crazy stuff to get her attention in the first place. None of this is about actual attraction and wanting to be with someone. Like, that thing with me and that woman at that job was not romantic, but I actually wanted to get to know her because I had some conversations with her, seemed to be a nice person to speak to, and once it was botched, I walked away. Like I said, I'm done riding the thought train. All aboard. Choo choo. But it is very vindictive, and you would never see a man do that. I've never known any guy to be like, "Oh, here's these two women I think are attractive, but I'm going to choose the other one because she's rich." I've never seen that ever with any man I've known in real life, with any man I've spoken to online. Like none of them. Like it's so funny how you have these idiots online, and they try to act like if you're a guy, you want to get you know like certain things out of a woman that are bad, right? Or you're only interested in her because you think she's pretty, or you only want to, get her behind the sheet, that stupid stuff, right? But it's like, look at the things that you are expected to do to get basic stuff out of women. Like if you want one of them to talk to you, some of these guys really believe you have to go and exercise. You have to wear this certain type of outfit. And you're like, why the hell do I have to do all this stuff that I really don't want to do and shouldn't have to do for someone that has to do nothing other than exist? How is that fair? And it's like you're telling me that once you appeal to this person by doing all this additional and extra crap that you really wouldn't even have bothered with if society actually was fair and practicing what it preaches, this woman is now suddenly going to be attracted to you and you're going to be equals and part. Do you see how that foundation does not correlate with an actual healthy equal relationship? They don't go together. Like, do you really think you're gonna meet some woman who's talking to 30, 40 guys, and then she's gonna pick you, and you're just gonna live happily ever after, and she's gonna only be interested? It's like, are you serious? You really believe that? Do you really think that's gonna come from that? So yeah, I really don't trust chicks. I don't trust their handlers because none of what they're doing is in any desire to benefit me. If I followed through with most of the stuff that they tell me to do on the computer, I would have died a long time ago. I mean, between all this exercising and traveling around the world just to go and talk to some broad that lives in another country. I mean, it's if you listen to half the stuff they tell you to do, they want you to be, destroyed. Somebody needs to tell them fairy tales aren't real. Yeah. Like I said, I live in the real world. I don't get any support from chicks. The most you get out of one of them is them flapping their gums. They get men to buy them things. They get men to take them places. You don't get anything from broads other than a waste of your time and a bare bones conversation that is going to go nowhere because she's going to convince herself that you want to be her boyfriend just because you spoke to her a few times or asked her for her email. Dude, the funniest part to me is that the one that did that thing this week. I swear to you, you know what? I'm not gonna say she's not pretty, but what did I tell you before? If you've seen one attractive chick, you've seen them all. Like it's so sad to me how like and I'm not joking when I say this. I really am at a point where when I speak to some of them, I'll say hi and bye because that's my position. You're supposed to like just make exchange with these people and then just leave them alone because It really does seem like they all believe that they're these smoking hot supermodels that have 10, 20, 30 guys who are like, "She will be mine, and I will get with her." And you're just sitting here like, damn, all I wanted to ask her was just conversation-based stuff because, I really don't like saying, "Oh, yes, I will never speak to another woman outside of work ever again." So I was like, "All right, let me give one of them a chance," right? One of the ones that's been, like, more decent than the rest, and then, well, there she goes ruining it. But Cam, you know what I'm talking about, right? These chicks don't care about you, and neither do these guys in the computer. And at least the ones that write the nasty stuff are honest about the fact that they want you to die and they want you to be destroyed. But like the ones that like you have a guy, I used him as an example in the video who that was talking about the passport stuff. It's like you don't ask me how much I have, and if I'm even able to travel around the world doing this stupid quest, if it conflicts with my work schedule. I mean, like you can't tell me that someone who thinks you should have to travel around the world and waste all this money seeking out foreign broads who are going to do the exact same thing the American ones do, and you know that from experience, cares about you. Like it doesn't compute. They get real mad when you say they don't care. Like I remember I had this one broad who got mad when I said that if I died, she wouldn't care, and she was like, "Well, I would have still known you." And it's like, no, I remember that clown. He was a joke. He can go elsewhere with his nonsense. Well, like I said, if his foreign woman traveling thing really made a difference, you wouldn't see him on my like, dude. Think about this. You really believe if you get married or if you start dating some woman and you're happy, right? This is great. You really think you're going to be traveling across the web trying to spread the good word like the romance prophet? Oh, I met this woman in Beijing and she was so great. And we're going on our honeymoon in Shanghai. Like, you really believe you would be doing that? Game says, "I've seen it. They get wrapped up in these toxic echo chambers, getting life advice from oh, don't start spreading because you know what happens when you put their names there. They were talking about this person. I'm gonna go tell him. You know that's what they do. They're with their free advertising. No, they do get wrapped up in those toxic echo chambers though. And you know what's so crazy? They try to accuse me of being toxic and like they try to pair me up with these like with those different guys that have done the mass killing stuff. And I'm like, it's so sad how like my philosophy is if you don't want to ask out chicks anymore, you have every right to do that. There's plenty of other things you can do in the meantime that are fulfilling. Um and I don't condone violence. So I guess what's crazy to me is like you have someone who says, you know what, this woman stuff isn't working out. I'm just going to leave them alone. I'm not bothering them. They're not bothering me. We're done with each other. And somehow that's offensive. That's like a thing that bothers people. Like I'm really supposed to sit here and be obsessed with chicks and just like keep looking for them and seeking them out. No, let me go over to this mall because there might be, five women there that I think are attractive. Maybe one of them will give me their number well, like I don't know. I just think the alternative is so stupid. I think that is completely insane. You are screwed both ways from the looks of it. You're either supposed to ask out chicks forever, which you really don't want to do because you know what result you're going to get, um, or you're supposed to, or you leave them alone, and you get accused by different people of like you are this and you must be that and you must be this. And it's like I just don't, like I still think my option is preferable because, like I said, if I still went out and asked out chicks as regularly as I did before doing the famous video, it would be a self parody. Like I said, the first time it happened, I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. Second time, damn. Third time, wow. Fourth time, fifth time, here we go again. 10th time, oh, who couldn't have seen that coming? 20th time, whatever. 30th time, yay. 40th time. Like at a certain point, you just like for me to still believe in this stuff, it's a joke version of itself. Remember, we made the same example of getting married. That first time, you're sitting up there in that black suit, and you're like, I swear to uphold the sanctity of marriage until death do us part. It's a big commitment. It's this big event. Everybody believes it. Whatever. The second time, hey, you know what? The first time was just a fluke. This is someone you're really going to be with forever. You really care about this person, etc., etc. They're better than the other one. Whatever you do swear, you do your vows, etc., etc. Make out with the woman. The third time, it's a joke. I would be surprised if the pastor isn't going. Yeah, till death do you. So, like I said, getting married more than twice to me is a self parody. Again, other people are free to do it, but to me, that's what it is. And still sitting here and asking out chicks and thinking that it's going to be any different is a self parody too. Like they're joke versions of themselves. I told you what's so funny is like all the personality analysis where they were like, "You're boring. You probably can't get a woman to speak to because you're boring." It's like, dude, I had that broad talking to me for a solid 15 or 20 minutes, and it only ended because I left. Hey, you gotta acknowledge the pattern eventually. No, if you acknowledge the pattern, you're being negative. You're boring. Dude, you know what drives me crazy though? Like they act like chicks are these dynamic John McClane from Die Hard action heroes. Like they're jumping off buildings and having these thrilling like I'm telling you, you speak to some of these chicks and it's more interesting watching paint dry. And you know what I'm getting at? Like, not everybody has to be some exciting, dynamic converse because there's a lot of ways that somebody can be valuable to society and not really be that great of a speaker or conversationalist. But I guess what drives me nuts is the idea that like they're so in like vindictive toward your person, what they perceive to be your personality or faults or whatever. And then they act like these chicks are so perfect and they're all just dynamic and like living these thrilling lives. I mean, dude, some of these chicks, I'll have a phone call with them and they won't even barely say anything. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. God, like what a joke. And yeah, you're boring. That's why so many of them have attempted to try keep speaking to you and go as far as to track you down after cutting them to still speak to you. Dude, I'll never forget that chick from the one that was in Australia that like agreed to marry me and then like reneged. Do you I wish I had screenshots of this. When I ignored her for like 1 or 2 days, first she tried contacting me on Google Hangouts, then she tried contacting me on Skype, then she left a comment on one of my videos, and it was like, do you really think I don't see what you're writing? Like I just don't want to talk to you. I mean, same thing with Triple L. When I blocked her number, she sent me an email. It's so funny how chicks are like more possessive toward me when you're not with them than when you are with them. I find that interesting because it really shows you like they do believe in. Maybe they don't like say it to themselves, but they do on some level think you're like they're owed your attention or whatever. Like, how dare you not speak to me? You know. Dude, imagine what I would look like if there was some woman that wasn't talking to me for like again a day, right? Or 2 days. And I message her on 3 different websites. Like how crazy would I look? I'm like, hello? Did you see what I wrote? I told you, man, like with chicks, you have to just leave them alone because every time they do something crazy, nobody calls it out because people are very sympathetic toward women, right? And then if you were to do something like that, you would get just. I'll give you an example. I was at so the same broad I was talking about earlier, the one that did the stupid "you should be done" thing at work. One of our first interactions was her asking me how old I was, and then when I answered, she said, younger than your actual age. And I just thought it was so weird. I think I mentioned before that one of the manager asked me if I had a girlfriend. So it was like, imagine what I would look like if I came up to some woman that I was at work with and I was like, "Hey, how old are you? You look younger than your actual age." And I go up to some other like some woman of authority. Do you have a girl excuse me, do you have a boyfriend? Again, they can say all kind of erotic subtext type things to you and not get in any trouble over it. But then and remember if like I said, everything is just in their favor. It's all one-sided. Megumi, imagine if I went to some woman at work. I'm like, how old are you? You look younger than your actual age. I get hit with a harassment case so quick. There goes with that disparity. It was just weird. Like, why are you talking about the way? I don't know. It's like I said, if you sat there and started talking about this woman is pretty or this woman is ugly, like even if you said something nice, they still would get like say, oh, you're making them uncomfortable and da, 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 da. That's why with me, I really I say like hello and whatever, make a little joke, but like actually talking about the way any of them look, I almost would never under any circumstance mention it at all because seriously, like chicks they will kill you in a workplace. Like they can find any little thing to try and get you in trouble over. And I'm not even someone who's had it done to them. And you can go online and see examples of this. So that's why I said, like, in any scenario, it just seems like it's really crazy to tell someone who everything is geared against, oh, you should keep trying and asking out women and pursuing them and being interested in them and trying to have some kind of ongoing thing with one of them. It is really scary. And like I said, there are some broads on this planet, some women that have actually helped men that have been there for them. I've spoken very highly of my grandmothers, and it's like, but when you really sit back and you think about just your regular average woman, they are not there to help you. They are not there to be attentive toward you. You can talk to one of them for months and they still will not care about, or years, they still will not care about you. They will throw you away as quick as they do an empty potato chip bag. In a lot of cases, they will lead to your direct downfall if you let them. You think if you become rich and a bunch of gold diggers start hanging out around you, they're going to care if your money starts running out as far as like, oh, where's he going to live? Is he going to be able to make him to dig himself out of this hole he's built for himself? No, because to chicks, you're nothing. You're just trash. And really, I strongly encourage you don't ever believe that random people, and I'm including guys in this too. Although the main reason I'm a little less inclined to talk about guys that way to other men is that if you're a straight guy, you're not probably not going to see another guy accuse you of making them uncomfortable at work or just there's reasons for that because they're not going to be put in as many positions to knife you in the back. But don't ever let yourself believe that random people on the internet or even in real life are just inclined to care about you and be interested in helping you. There are a few, but they're a dime a dozen. I mean, excuse me, they are a diamond in the rough. Rather, they're a needle in a haystack. Like if you really think about how many people are like the combined total of how many people just don't care about you and how many are actively trying to be involved with your demise or downfall, it is really scary. Like these guys who are telling you to go and become rich to appeal to this woman and to do all they're trying to lead you off of a cliff. And a lot of them do believe in this idea. A lot of people, rather, I should say, that because this is what they're really upset over. They don't like people who are different from them. They think they want this homogenized society where every single man spends every waking moment trying to appeal to all these chicks that don't care about him. And if you stray from that, you deviate from that a little bit, they lose their minds. And we know that they have a problem accepting the fact that there are alternate ways to live that are just as valid and just as justified as theirs. I'll give you an example. There was a woman who I think is attractive, and one of my relatives. I said to her, "Why do you wear weave? You know, your hair is long because their hair comes down to like back here, right?" And her response to that is to say, "Everybody wears weave." Now there was a guy who about 6 years ago did an interview with a radio show host, and then this group of guys that work at a bookstore who he had fallen out with did a video talking disparagingly of him, right? Put his name in the title, everything. And while they were talking about him in a very nasty way in their bookstore, you can actually see roaches crawling right behind them, traveling from one side of the screen to the other. And when they were called out for how nasty the place that they're working in is, what the main guy that runs the bookstore, or whatever this store was, says everybody has roaches. So do you see how just as everybody wears weave, everybody has roaches because they either wear weave or they have roaches. They like everyone is what they are because they can't accept that there are people who are not what they are. They have to convince themselves everybody is the thing that they are to justify doing something that another person or group of people will think is weird. Ever a fan of the Green Ranger? Wouldn't I just be a fan of Power Rangers in general? I haven't seen any of that since I was a kid. I know that about the actor committing suicide, though. It was really sad, especially since he was in multiple iterations. I'm forgetting what the dinosaur one was, but I remember he was the Black Ranger in that, so it was sad. I just thought that was so funny. A whole video where they're talking, and you can just see the the Russian traveling right behind from one side of this. I guess what gets me is like I still have no idea how you can be recording something because yeah, I can see myself in the camera. How you can be recording so just like not see anything behind you, like you're so transfixed on whatever you're talking about that you don't notice your background is like slightly altering as you speak. So I thought that was funny for multiple reasons. Everybody has roaches. Everybody wears weave. I watched a episode of Steve Wilkos where one of the hosts was getting into some kind of conflict with his girlfriend because she was upset that he was watching porn. He was like, "Everybody watches porn." It's like- so anytime you do something and someone like calls you out, just be like, "Everyone does this." That's gonna be the new way of justifying it. You have no polls to support it. You have no statistics to go along with it. But everybody, just like if I said everybody drives, I would say you could probably find some polls that show a lot of people do, but there are still parts of like the US, for example, like New York, where there are a lot of people that just take the bus or the subway. Looks like Kame left us. He got tired of my toxic echo chamber and decided to head over to I guess somebody else's. It's so weird how like they really convince themselves you must be part of this group of guys and you have to be part of this team and this organization. And I'm just like, all we said was, hey, if you don't want to approach women anymore, that's fine. There's other stuff you can do. And if you want to talk to them, you do what you want. So I said people can construe anything as something else really easily. It's kind of scary. But that woman stuff at work is really troubling because they can just use their gender to railroad you. And then a lot of them will instantly be believed because why would they lie? But you saw in the message I wrote to the one this week, it's like that wasn't even romantic. And the way that she responded, it was kind of like a warning. It was weird. Um, and like I said, I'd have to be really stupid to send like if it was truly my grand ambition to be with her, I'd have to be really dumb to try and like say something romantic to her. First of all, in a written format, but also from a work email. That would be that would be not very bright. What I used to talk to my coworker about in between breaks. No, it was the news. It was like, hey, just casual stuff. Like I made a joke that I had my shoe untied and they didn't tell me that it was untied. So if I fell and passed away, I would make sure that on the floor to make to like to point to them and signal it as being part of an act that they did to frame them. It was just some fun stuff. I said that they like Death and Destruction. That's why their favorite cartoon when they were a child was Looney Tunes. And then she said that she did, it again, it's like it's just casual joke type stuff. I'd honestly have done the same way if I was in your position. Man, I'm telling you, you can't even bother trying to get close to a woman anymore. Like even in a platonic sense, it's scary trying to get involved with one of them. Because if they get upset at something you said or did, you don't know what their response could be, but it's not going to be pleasant. Um, and like I said, there's the paranoia is what drives me crazy because it's like people will tell me I'm paranoid for thinking that if women suddenly are interested in you after years have passed and you have more money, they're gold diggers. But it's like chicks are so damn paranoid that they think any guy that talks to one of them like has this master plan to be their boyfriend. And like I don't even believe in romantic stuff anymore. Like I said that before. I don't even think it's worth spending any time actually trying to get because usually there are more punishments than rewards anyway. Well, that was the point I was making. That what I said to her was stuff I would say to a guy as well. It was just some little jokes, whatever. And I said it would be really nice if we could still keep speaking. Because these, when you have two people who have different schedules and one is working, the other one isn't, you never really can talk for that long. So I had hoped that when I got the email, which was what I had preferred because I didn't ask for a number, I just said, "Hey, can I get a way to contact you?" Which could be anything. Um, I was hoping I could ask her, what are your hobbies? She would then ask me what kind of stuff I like to do. Just get to know a person, that type of thing. And it's so unfortunate to me that instead of just answering a basic question like that, she decided to bring up this man that she's with, and it's in a very clear and obvious attempt to try and like ward off what she, I guess, thought was me being romantically interested in her. And I just rolled my eyes when I saw that thing. I was like, man, I really made an attempt to get to know you, and this is the thanks I get. I guess the saying is true, no good deed goes unpunished. Hey, we're gonna have the goblin. This is why only fools talk to women, because you never know when some lunatic will come around with the sadistic choice. Don't ever speak to her again or talk to her and have her think you're trying to become her boyfriend despite you doing nothing to indicate that as the case. We are who we choose to be. Now choose. That was a sadistic choice. You either speak to her and have her think that you want to be her boyfriend, and like that already makes things awkward and weird because she's acute believes something that's not true. Or you just say, you know what, to hell with it, and never speak to her again, and just say for whatever. You know, that line about the sadistic choice is so accurate because like all the woman stuff really is a bunch of sadistic choices. Like you can either ask out a bunch of women who for a fact are not attracted to you and just keep getting the same result over and over on the promise that one day one of them will think you're attractive, or you can never ask any of them out again and still get attacked by other people who make analysis and have windows in your soul about your personality. It's why I say like it's funny how that line is so resonant with me now because of like all the times where you had to pick between basically getting stabbed or thrown off a building. Yeah, nothing romantic was mentioned at all. She was the only one who got it in, in their dingbat head that, oh, this guy wants to have a relationship with me. I mean, hey, if you listen to these chicks, I'm trying to date everybody. There was a broad. I said before there were like two other ones I thought were nice and spoke to and would have tried to like I guess get some way to contact them. But with the other two, I hadn't spoken to them as much, so I didn't feel as comfortable. And you know that if you're a man, you have to always be the one that initiates everything. I mean, chicks actually trying to keep in contact with you is that's why I said like one of the reasons I don't like interacting with people in these workplaces is because it's all surface level crap. Like you could work somewhere for a whole month or even longer than that, and your coworker still wouldn't try to like actually get your number and speak to you and ask you how you're doing or whatever. It's all just window dressing, and none of it is real. It's not a person actually invested in your well being or trying to get to know you on some actual level of a friendship. And that's why I said I really I'm always willing to say hello whatever to people, but as far as like believing it's ever going to go anywhere, I'm good because we've seen this saga play itself out. I don't know how many times. It's kind of funny because I was like, this is one of the few instances where I said, all right, because I've had other jobs where it's like I wouldn't mind still speaking to that person, if I didn't work there anymore, but they didn't have my number, I didn't have their number, whatever. So I said, hey, it would be cool if in the event that I got in trouble or wasn't working there anymore, at least I could still talk to this person and ask them how they're doing. Um, and sure enough, that was what you got out of them. This weird, goofy, response that annoyed me. Dude, what you said there, I literally always had that thinking when I'm working. This is why during work I always minimize any chatter with my colleagues. Yeah, it's all surface level crap. They might ask you, "Hey," or "How are you?" or whatever, but actually wanting to get to know you and like try to do something meaningful with it, almost never. That's why I said I'm so tired of a lot of that stuff because I don't know, I prefer for relationships that matter to me to actually see something progress. But I told you before that like even with chicks that you meet outside of the workplace, it still is surface level crap. Like I'll give you an example with Triple L. I had to speak to that idiot for like 10 or 11 months just to get her to meet me in person. And it was still something like that you basically had to, I don't want to say like twist her arm or whatever, but you had to say, hey, why can't you do this? We live in the same city. It would be different if she was in another state or country or whatever, but like it doesn't, it's weird. Like you're basically treating me the same way you would treat someone that lives halfway across the world where you just never see them in person. And I was like, it's so insane to me that like, and again, I made every accommodation. I said, hey, if you don't feel comfortable, we can meet in a police station or some other public setting of your choice. Because again, I can understand to some extent why you wouldn't be entirely comfortable meeting somebody off the internet. But that's why I again made the accommodation of if you are afraid, we can meet in a public vicinity where there's a bunch of people, like it's not like I'm saying, let's go meet behind this dark alley. And sure enough, um, look at how long it took just to get a person that lived, a woman who lived in the same city as you to meet you in person. I'll talk about we're friends. Yeah, friends who never hang out, friends who one of them would set up phone calls, the other one would barely ever actually answer to their own stuff that she set up. Friends where one of them goes to another state and doesn't say anything to the other one for a whole month, and they're gonna make up the lamest excuse ever. I was afraid of these people listening into my conversation, even though I can just get my lazy behind up and go outside and call you then. So I said, man, it just every time one of them tries to act like they care about you and they're asking how you're doing, it's all surface level crap. I get the feeling that it isn't real and they aren't genuinely interested in talking with you. Yep. I've experienced that too. The first time when it happened, I was extremely irritated by it, just knowing they live so close and they just outright refuse to meet. And the worst part is that because we said this before, chicks are so demented that you have some of them who will talk to a guy that lives in another country as often as they talk to one that lives in the same city as them. And like basically when they do that, they are subconsciously treating you like someone who lives in another region or part of the world as opposed to a person that they can actually go and physically see and, you know, grab and do whatever they want to. Like that's why I said it's really crazy to think that when you just consider the closeness of her location to mine, it makes the fact it took that long just to meet in person while she's calling you her friend all the more insane. I was like, wow, it took 11 months for me to see her in person just so she could blow smoke in my face and, you know, what a great thing that was. After when telling me, "Oh, they are my best friend and really enjoy speaking to me," and all that nonsense. Dude, what's actually kind of funny is my best friend was like at the time going to school in another state. We actually hung out more often than the like woman that was supposedly my friend that lived in the same city as me for almost a whole, for like literally a whole year. I just thought that was funny that like the actual friend who lives in another city and state at this point, you're more likely to see him in person than you are to see the woman who lives in the same city and state as you in person. I thought that was hilarious. Because, like I said, there's something wrong with them. Like, what sensible, sane, reasonable individual be like, I care so much about you, man, that I only see in person a few times a year. Or excuse me, that I only speak to on the phone a couple of times a month, and I can't even be bothered to do something as basic as seeing you in person a few times a year, even though I have every single means to meet you if I want to. People always want to talk about you need to mature and you're childish and all. It's like that broad was childish. She the one that's in her early 30s and doesn't have a car. She the one too damn stupid to get up and go outside and call somebody if you actually want to talk to them. Because I have people who, ear hustle as well. That's why I go outside. If I want to talk to somebody really badly and I don't want anybody to hear it, I just go outside. So I said my sympathy for these people just decreases drastically when you start considering how much stuff that they could do and they just don't do it. It's really sad. Oh man, I'm probably gonna have to make 2 trips to the market today. I really don't feel like doing it. I gotta go 1 trip up to get something to eat and another one to go over there. Like I said, relationships are supposed to be something you enjoy, and I just I for the life of me, I don't enjoy the stuff with these women. I really don't. I think they're full of crap. I think they tell men a lot of lies, and I think if men didn't have such limited options, most chicks wouldn't even be able to garner our attention. I said it before. I think women in general are overhyped. Like most of them have never done anything. So why do they need 30, 40, 50 guys trying to talk to them? And even the ones you sit there and talk to and get and supposedly call yourself getting to know, they still treat you like trash. Look at that one broad I spoke to from October to July of October last year to July this year. You couldn't even get her to do a call, a little stupid voice call where you just talk voice to voice. But then she's gonna sit over here talking about how you're friends and she enjoys. It's like then why are you against doing something so basic? Nobody thinks that's weird. There's not something bizarre about that. You don't think that's like a strange thing, like that those two things don't correlate? Like I said, as bad as these trolls on here are, where they're like, because you had one earlier wrote something weird. At least with them, they're honest about the fact that they don't care about you and want to see you fail, and ultimately are working to help cause your death. Like, but a lot of these chicks are involved in the same practices, but they put on the mask of acting as if they care about you and they want to see something good happen for you, when in reality they're often involved in the reverse. Like I said, I've never known a man who would sit there for 11 or 12 months talking to someone they're not attracted to, and have all these defenders like, well, he did this because he did. So I like I said, I as bad as most of the guys online are that do the like women can do no wrong thing, at least they're honest about the fact that they are trying to cause your death and want to see you destroyed. I mean, I'm not stupid. I know how chicks are. Like I said, when you're around the same group of people for years, there's only so much stuff they can do that's new and different before it becomes retreads. Like for a brief moment, I actually I because I saw like that woman from that office like wear a ring on her finger. I thought she might have been married. And I was actually laughing to myself because that reminded me back of that one time when I think 17 and I was at some mall and I asked some woman on a date and she was married. And I just felt so bad. But it's like, I mean, I wasn't checking anybody's fingers, so it's whatever. But I was just like, hey, that would have been real. I'm just saying, like, there's all kind of weird stuff that's happened between me and them because you're when you have to keep asking and initiating, there's all kind of bizarre things that occur. But a lot of it does start to kind of turn into remakes of past previous stuff. Like I remember there was a chick I used to talk to back when I was in I think 12th grade, and she was from another state, I think, and she came to mine, and she brought up the fact that she was like in the area, whatever, whatever. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. We could meet. That would be great. And then I noticed that she kind of seemed like reluctant to take me up. I was like, what's the deal? Oh, I'm out here with my boyfriend. I'm like, oh well, okay, whatever. Wow. But it was that same thing, right? Of like, them having some guy that they basically spit out or bring up or don't mention initially. You know what I'm talking about. It's that same stuff. It doesn't become a plot twist or surprise anymore due to how many times the same scenario is played out. Magumi says, "Oh damn." No, it's not surprising anymore. In fact, honestly, I was more surprised that she didn't answer because you would figure like somebody asks you like, "What are your favorite colors?" I'd be like, "All right, red and black." Oh, what are your what are your hobbies? I like draw, write, whatever. I was more surprised that she didn't do me the like courtesy of answering the question I asked at all than like her being because dude, you know how it is. If there's a woman that you think is like semi attractive, you can infer she's probably with somebody. But I was like, damn, I really wanted to have like a decent dialogue, and she just botched it. Mm. I had two very close female friends who said every guy will try once, and they even told me that they were surprised I never made a move. Yeah, what's the point? If you know that they're used to it and they think you're just gonna, you know, I mean, like for what purpose? So they can say no and have their ego boosted more, and every time you see them, it's awkward. That's why I said I don't have any female friends, and I really don't want to have any because there's every time you try to talk to one of them, they always think you're attempting to be their boyfriend. You could ask one of them, "How's the weather today?" You want my number? They always think you got this master quest to like try and get them. Dude, like the way that chicks imagine men, they would really like make themselves believe that we all sit in like a little dungeon and we have like like a little notepad. We're like, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna ask her for a number, and after I get the number, we'll go on a candlelit dinner the next day, and then I'll tell her about how I've been so swayed by the corners of her eyes. And then the day after that, I'll send her a message while she's at work. And then the day after that, I'll take her to this nice fancy restaurant and I'll say, when I saw you, that was the first time I knew I was truly alive. And the day after that, I'll send her another message saying, hey, how are you doing? And then the day after that, I'll go, hello. As I call her, and then we'll have another dinner after that. And at that dinner, we'll go to this restaurant and it'll be about $70 to eat there. Like we all just sit around with these plots with these campaigns of how we're going to get this woman to do, like, it's so weird. It's just such a rarity there to even have any female friends because their egos are absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. And a lot of those bastards are really possessive. Like I told you about the one from Australia. Like I wasn't dating her and she sent me messages on 3 different websites in like one day just 'cause I didn't respond to her. So I told you, man, I'm tired of riding the thought train. All aboard, choo choo. So I will. I'm apparently not working on Monday. I'll if again I don't know because this stuff changes all the time, but I might stream on Monday. If I don't, I'm definitely gonna do it on Saturday. Um, but right now I'm very hungry and I'm gonna go get myself something to eat. So thanks for showing up. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Maybe I'll do an edited video this week. I don't know because the other one really wore me out. Like writing that script was hard. So just be on the lookout. But hope you enjoyed the stream and have a good rest of your weekend.